Mark Wahlberg takes on his first villain role in nearly 3 decades in Mel Gibson's high-stakes action thriller Flight Risk. While Wahlberg's best action movies usually place him in the hero or protagonist role, Flight Risk features Wahlberg as a rare villain with a highly unusual haircut. Flight Risk is the second of 2 recent collaborations between Wahlberg and Mel Gibson. While Gibson doesn't star in Flight Risk, he and Wahlberg have shared the screen in the recent biopic Father Stu, 2022, and the comedy movie Daddy's Home 2, 2017. Wahlberg leads the cast of Flight Risk as the main antagonist Daryl Booth, a hitman disguised as a pilot hired by a New York mob boss named Moretti. Daryl, an ex-convict and murderer, assumes the identity of an actual pilot named Daryl Booth after killing him. His target is Winston, Topher Grace, Moretti's accountant and a prisoner informant, who is en route to testify against Moretti. Protecting Winston is Madeline, Michelle Dockery, who discovers that Wahlberg's Daryl is not who he says he is before the end of Flight Risk. Mark Wahlberg's character is a poor villain in Flight Risk. He's one-note and over-the-top but occasionally funny. Mark Wahlberg with his hands above his head in Flight Risk. While Daryl is a mostly entertaining albeit one-note villain, Flight Risk does little to make Wahlberg's villain stand out or feel special. Despite being a paid hitman, Daryl is quite obviously nefarious from the start. His cover of the simple-minded country boy doesn't hold up or last long, as Maddie figures him out soon after the plane leaves the ground. It's fine that Daryl isn't the genius supervillain type, but it's shocking and hard to believe that he didn't approach the hijacking with a plan or that Moretti, a supposed mob boss, would hire him in the first place. Flight Risk isn't asking its audience to overthink what it's offering. Wahlberg's villain reveal was the hook of the film's trailer, which drains all suspense until Wahlberg delivers his "You'll need a pilot" line. It's the overarching sense of ridiculousness found in Daryl and arguably the entire movie that makes Wahlberg's villain woefully uninteresting. His character bends to fit the needs of the thin plot, which reduces his already inhuman character to simply being a plot device. To Wahlberg's credit, he makes Daryl occasionally funny and articulates his creepiness well, which is not necessarily easy for any actor. Flight Risk is Mark Wahlberg's first villain role since Fear. Wahlberg has hardly played any villains in his 30-year acting career. Wahlberg likely had fun making Flight Risk, as most actors who generally play heroes do when they play a villain. That being said, it's difficult to call Flight Risk's Daryl Booth a more well-rounded and realized villain than Wahlberg's antagonist role in the 1996 psychological thriller Fear. Wahlberg starred as David McCall, a seemingly perfect yet bad boy boyfriend to Reese Witherspoon's Nicole Walker, who eventually spirals into an obsessive and violent predator. While David's villain arc in Fear isn't necessarily Oscar-worthy, he shows key character elements, motivation, transformation, human flaws, that Flight Risk's Daryl is lacking completely. Fear was Wahlberg's very first starring role in a feature film after his notable supporting roles in Renaissance Man, 1994, and The Basketball Diaries, 1995. After the critical acclaim of Paul Thomas Anderson's Oscar-nominated classic Boogie Nights, 1997, Wahlberg became a household name as a lead actor. This left him without the need or interest to play more villains, as he instead tackled starring roles in action movies, blockbusters, and comedies. That strategy may have helped him achieve A-list status in Hollywood, but it stripped audiences of the potential he displayed in Fear to be a great villain. His character in Flight Risk may just be the most wicked and undoubtedly evil character Wahlberg has ever played. According to People, Wahlberg even apologized to his castmates after filming Flight Risk for staying in his antagonistic character. It's unfortunate that Wahlberg's method efforts, such as shaving his head each day for filming, didn't result in a better product. Why Mark Wahlberg's Flight Risk villain isn't better than his Fear role. Flight Risk's script didn't give Wahlberg much to work with. Mark Wahlberg with a headset on in Flight Risk. Wahlberg made an honest effort to bring the unsettling and extremely dangerous Daryl Booth to life in Flight Risk. The fact that Flight Risk's Daryl is a considerably worse movie villain than David in Fear is more at the fault of the filmmakers rather than Wahlberg's performances. An actor playing protagonists or antagonists can only do so much with a screenplay that doesn't offer much refinement or context to their characters. Daryl is a simple villain with a singular objective and a one-track mind. He serves the plot and not much else. A better version of Daryl may have shown more complexity and human elements to add suspense and unpredictability. Instead, Daryl is like a rabid dog chasing cars and acts as nothing but a relentless force of violence and danger, making him more of a caricature than a character in Flight Risk.